Hi, welcome to This Week in Ames. I'm Susan Gwiazda. On today's show, we check in with the Ames Finance Department. My guest today is Duane Pitcher, Finance Director with the City of Ames Finance Department. Duane, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks, Susan. Good to be back.
Yeah, it has been kind of a busy last few months for you, finishing up the budget process. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, it's several months to do the budget process, and you're involved with parts of that, starting with your citizen satisfaction survey. But we've been working publicly, or more publicly, on the budget over the last couple months with our presentation to the council on the capital improvement plan and a public hearing on the plan in January, and then a series of public hearings early this month in February, and then wrapping up, I guess it was last Tuesday, with the budget wrap-up with the council. That closed the public hearing. We'll have one final hearing to adopt the budget on March 1st, and that will wrap up for another year.
And then we are obligated by state law to have our budget certified by?
The budget has to be certified by March 15th, and we make that a little earlier on March 1st, but there's a publication requirement that has to be done prior to that. So we had the meeting last week, and then we do the publication. That happened on Friday, and that'll meet the time requirement by March 1st to have that out and available to the public. Now, what we publish is in a very high summary format. Citizens that want to have more information can certainly look on our website, and the draft budget is posted out there right now. Still marked draft because it is not adopted until March 1st by the council.
Now, I know every year you go to quite a lot of trouble to make sure that people understand that they have the option of participating in the budget process. Do you get a lot of public participation?
It really kind of depends, and it's no trouble, Susan. We really enjoy doing it. We like the input. The council really likes the input. I mean, it's important that we get input on different items that happen. I think some areas, citizens may not be concerned about some of the real details that go on through government, but certainly on where capital improvements are happening, when we have projects that citizens may vote on, like the library referendum, obviously those get a lot of input. But where we see a lot of our input is when a project actually starts. And I think you work on some of those also. So say we've approved paving a street, and now it's time to actually do it. I think public wants to know kind of the staging of how it's done, how the layout's going to work. And we certainly get a lot of input that area, but we do want and welcome input on what people want more of and what possibly they want less of.
Well, you brought up an interesting point on an issue that involves a vote, like building a Furman Aquatic Center or adding on to the public library. People express their opinion with their vote. In the budget process, there's all sorts of different opportunities to email, to go to attend a meeting, to watch on Channel 12 what's happening. Do you think a lot of people take advantage of that opportunity to look up documents on the website? Do you get very many questions?
Not a lot. It varies from year to year. It really kind of depends on what the items are in the budget. This year, I think at the final night, there was input, I believe, only from one citizen. We get a lot more on the night we have in October, where it's just kind of open for input. It depends. We get neighborhoods. I think a lot of it's changed to some degree because the council request project, our process was moved separately from the budget. So we have more of a formalized process to request certain funding. And that, I think that works a little bit better than, so for example, if you're at the Hunsrücker Youth Soccer Complex, 20 people don't need to show up. They get together with their group, provide an application that represents all of them, and then it goes through a process, and in this case was approved by the council.
Well, that's another good point. For some of those, you really have done I think the city's done a great job of chunking off some of those funding requests, like through the asset process, so you don't get organization after organization coming individually to the council and saying, please fund this. there's a very systematic process for asking for funding, and it has to meet often specific needs.
Yes, and it provides a little bit more structured method, and it allows groups to get together and kind of decide as a group often, what they would like to see for city funding. Now that doesn't prevent a citizen that may have a different opinion of certainly coming forward and expressing that with the council as they fund. But typically these groups, especially through ASSET, through CODA, there is this more structured method where they can make their voice heard collectively, which I think works a little better.
That's just another good plug for volunteering, because those funding mechanisms, there's an advisory group that goes with them made up of Ames residents who make funding decisions. So another way that people get involved in the process.
Yeah, actually they make recommendations to the council. So the council provides some guidelines that goes to this group, so they have an idea of what the council may be able to fund for a given year. So for example, CODA and ASSET comes from local option sales tax, and a lot of what drives the ability to fund that is our revenue for local option tax. So in November, I provide the council with an update of where we expect to be in that revenue category, and we also have planned other uses for that in areas such as capital improvement. And we give all that information to the council, some history on how we've funded these programs, and they provide some guidance to those groups on what level they expect to fund those in the year.
So the process is kind of wrapped up. You're almost done. What do you do the rest of the year?
This year, well, we have a lot of things to work on. Once we do have that final night, there's a lot of information we need to put together for our reports that go into the state. We certify the budget, and then by June 30th, we'll be closing a year and working on all the steps that go through that. And then, of course, we're monitoring the budget as we go along. It's not something that we just put in place and then look at when it's time to do the next budget. And then all the other areas in the finance department. We take care of all our debt issuance, accounts payable, accounts receivable.
Well, and that's actually a good point, because not only do you do that, the finance department also includes information technology, utility billing. You have a pretty wide range of services that are sort of housed under one department.
There is quite a large area. Most of our services are provided internally to the other departments, but the one that meets most directly with the public is utility customer service, and that's an area that anyone who has a utility account or is unfortunate enough to get a parking ticket will interact with them, and we're always looking to improve that service, make it more streamlined, more efficient, and continue to serve that larger base with the same number of people.
Wow. Well, it sounds like you have a lot going on. Even though this one project's wrapping up with the budget, you've got a lot of other things to keep you busy. Duane, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, Susan.
Again, if you'd like more information about the City of Ames budget, those documents are listed in our website. They're under the cityofames.org departments. Look for finance, and you'll see a whole list of financial documents for your perusal. Some other things to think about: we have the Lincoln Way Corridor Study going on, and if you'd like to get involved in the Lincoln Way Corridor Study, also look on our website under the news on the front page, cityofames.org. Well, that's our show for today. Thanks for watching, and tune in next week for This Week in Ames.